Previously on the replacements, the world's been divided by land, sea, sky, and everything strange in between. Every region gets two hero teams, one polished and approved, and one like this. Welcome to Echo 9B, once elite, now downgraded. The mentors are bitter, the tower's falling apart, and the new five-person squad, they're a beautiful mess. Reaction. Legacy hero in the making, if only she believed it. Monroe, calm, lethal, and carrying more than she lets on. Edison, tech genius with a grudge and a toolkit full of proof. Jack High, part prophet, part chaos engine, always smiling. Viz, invisible, cryptic, and maybe not entirely singular. They trained, they fought, they flinched, they didn't break. Then came the crate, and the sword inside it. Excalibur doesn't just amplify your gifts, it amplifies you, the truth you're hiding, the outcome you're headed for. Reaction admitted she's not the fix, they just raised her like one. Monroe shared what happens when your cage door opens and you don't hold back. Edison confessed to losing everything to someone shinier, smoother, and more marketable. Not less skilled, just less sellable. He's not a sidekick. He never was. But Jack High, he touched the sword, and for one heartbeat he saw every future. Tyrant, leader, ruin, peace. Every version of himself laid bare. He's the red path, always has been. But his power is gold. He didn't cheat the system. He let go, collapsed, reset, chose nothing, or maybe everything. Viz woke up like nothing happened. Maybe it didn't, or maybe they're just not done replacing people. And now the crate is moving. The next test is waiting. The sword didn't just unlock power. It showed routes. Jack High is the red. But the gold, that's what lives inside him. Episode 5 being watched. The hum of containment tech has a sound to it. Somewhere between a whisper and a migraine. It doesn't stop. Not for meals, not for sleep, not for apologies. It's been 7 days since Jack High touched Excalibur, 7 days since the vault was sealed, 7 days since the team was grounded, stuck together, stuck in silence, stuck under the weight of what almost happened. Excalibur isn't gone. Not yet. The general's still holding it, literally. The lights are clinical. The walls are pulse-reactive steel. It's cold, but not cold enough to complain. The 5 of them sit scattered across the containment chamber. Nowhere to go but loops in their heads. The truth serum hasn't fully worn off, it just hangs. A low-grade emotional static that makes eye contact feel dangerous. Viz is sketching stars into the fog of a reinforced window. Reaction paces like there's glass in her shoes. Edison has started modifying his own wristband out of boredom. Monroe hasn't said much. Hasn't had to. Jack High has been watching the general's grip like it's a game of chicken with destiny. The general, calm but stern, you all think you're the leader. No one answers. Every one of you. Pharaoh, he's not wrong. Haughty, confidence is cute, but if everyone's steering, we're just spinning. Negative, smiling like a trap. Leadership's not a crown, it's a burden. One most of you aren't as ready to carry as you all think. The general tightens his grip around the hilt of Excalibur. Light flickers through the lines of his knuckles. General. In a team of 5, leadership isn't permanent. It shifts, adapts. Sometimes the mission needs a captain. Sometimes it needs a ghost. You don't get to lead just because you want to. Best leaders know the plan before they run, and teammates should already know what you're thinking. It doesn't just happen overnight. That glance is at the general. Understanding. For a moment, it feels like a warning, like a reprimand. Jack High shrugs. Edison rolls his eyes. Monroe leans her head back against the wall. They're ready to be dismissed, to get back to whatever normal looks like at the Green Mohawk School. But then, the general moves. He walks across the room and sets Excalibur into a containment slot, not all the way in, just resting. His voice drops. His eyes never leave the team. General Calibrate. Sealing this weapon will take time. At least 10 days, and we will be here the entire time to oversee different safety measures. Hottie stepped in front of them, looks at each of them, like a producer before the show goes live. Hottie, that gives us a perfect window to evaluate you. Physically, mentally, socially, behavioral profiles, trust patterns, the whole works. He. Then they all gesture to slam around the containment floor like welcoming them to a prison cell. General, you'll be living here. Directly around Excalibur, and during that time everything will be monitored. You guys will be cut off from the outside world and from us, other than for instruction, and private confessional room where you can talk to us freely, as well as allowing us to evaluate how you answer some of our questions. The shift is subtle, but immediate. Like someone just said lights, camera, consequence. No one's smiling. Not anymore. Because now it's clear. The next 10 days aren't just training. They're auditions, and someone's not making the cut. He lifts the sword and locks it into place. The click echoes. It's not loud, but it feels permanent. Reaction straightens. Jack High blinks like he just snapped out of something. Even Monroe leans forward. Edison closes his tablet. Viz hums and stops mid-note. General, almost smug. If you still think you can prove to be a good leader, now's your chance. And that's when the room changes. No flashing lights, no dramatic music, just hunger. Not for food, for validation. So, when does it start? Now. It starts now. Just because I can't lead, I'll go easy on everyone this week. No one laughs. Not this time. What follows isn't a training mission. It's not a simulation. It's a test. And thanks to Excalibur, they are all dialed in. One that's been happening since they met. Now it just has rules. Some they'll be told, some they'll figure out too late. But when it's over, one of them will be named leader for the upcoming mission. Episode 5, Scene Appointments, Confessionals, and Glitter Ops. Once the sword was sealed and the challenge declared, the rules shifted, without being explained. No countdown, no challenge yet. Just waiting. 2 bedrooms with 2 beds. A third bedroom, if you can call it that, with cardboard boxes and trash. Above the door it says, The Uncool. They have a monitor drone following each of them, documenting and listening. The common space is a kitchen and a living room, and then there's the confessional room where they can talk directly to the teachers. They all get randomly called to it. Everyone was pretending like it was normal, but it felt off, no matter what they said. The confessional room was oddly comforting. Big soft chairs, a view of Excalibur, and hot tea. Really made you want to talk. Or maybe a confession box built by reality TV producers. They all know the tapes will be on file forever. And just like that, they stopped being teammates and started becoming players. Or who's safe, or what will be remembered. That's when the strategy starts. Each of Visible 4 go into the room and confirm when asked that they want to win. It's alluded the Viz will only compete in certain competitions, but she'll have her own separate competitions in the invisible realm. Viz forms bombshell triangle. Viz finds reaction near the containment wall, sitting upside down in a chair, chewing on the plastic ID band they refuse to wear properly. Viz, listen. It's time. Girls take over. Even if I can't be the leader, I don't want a drooling boy to boss us around. I say we form an alliance. The bombshell triangle, since we're all 3 so beautiful. Later, Viz corners Monroe near the containment tea dispenser that doesn't actually dispense anything. Viz, listen, Monroe. You're quiet. You're calculating. You wear armor. That's she-unit energy. Also, reaction said yes, kind of, which means it's real. We vote together. We steer the ship. We'll see. Later that day, Monroe finds Jack High alone in his room, flipping a coin into the air over and over again without catching it. Viz has a plan, and it's apparently a bombshell. I think she's serious. You think she's gonna blow up the building? No, she said she's hot. Like, reaction called us the bombshell triangle, what she called our alliance. Shh, I think one of them's coming. That sounds fake and dangerous. I love it. It's good for me if they think I joined, but I thought you should know. Talk later. Bye. Meanwhile, reaction tells Edison. Quiet. Direct. Like she's reporting damage in a storm. Reaction. Viz wants a girls' alliance. Name's awful. Probably too true. Edison, not surprised, of course she does. Viz probably pitched a Netflix doc too, but why tell your biggest competition? Reaction, smirking faintly. She said I agreed. I didn't. And I don't need help to beat you normally, but I need the votes. Don't want you to not vote for the best because you're bitter. The conversations all feel clipped. Cut short whenever someone else walks in the room. Viz took off whistling because no one was talking until she made her presence known. When the girls are together, the bombshell triangle is on. First competition. They'll work together to beat the boys. They're given 6 hours to prepare. A countdown, and no details. No map, just a name, the hanging wall. They're issued matching outfits, but each a different color. Cut-off overalls, high saturation, bright enough to offend. Even Viz's was floating neon pink with hot pink stitching. The other girls had shirts underneath that matched. Reaction, deep purple. Monroe, sky blue. Traffic cone orange. Neon green camo like he lost a bet. Viz, pink, pink, and more pink. Viz says it 5 times like it's a theme park ride on a field trip. The hanging wall. The hanging wall. Ooh, I can't wait for the hanging wall. No one laughs. They're told to report to the containment corridor, an empty steel-lined hallway now glowing with pulsing blue light and quiet dread. And there, along one side of the wall, 5 blank rectangles, outlined in chalk. Scene, paint yourself. The general doesn't explain. He just drops a box of markers and says, be who you think you are. Viz, oh no, are we becoming brands? Reaction draws fast, messy. Aggressive lines, heat waves radiating off her shoulders, ice rings around her feet. Her hair looks like it's mid-explosion. Edison sketches with surgical precision. Gadgets strapped to every joint, a schematic crown hovering over his head. Jack High's self-portrait is grinning. Cards everywhere. Flames curling up one boot. But something's off in the eyes, like the drawing might move on its own. Monroe draws herself in armor, but smaller, like she's standing in front of something much larger. She doesn't explain. No one asks. Viz draws a floating crown, then adds glitter. From nowhere. Somehow, the glitter leaves behind the silhouette of a woman's voluptuous body. It sparkles, even in the dark. They're told to rest, to strategize. They carry their drawings across a field at night, but no one really sleeps. Hey, Ed. Want to make a final 2? Power bras? Edison doesn't respond. Yaps his temple. Don't be shocked when I see your answers. No one calls him out. What no one says out loud is this. It's getting hard to tell who they're being honest to, and who they're lying to. The field smells at night. Frogs, machines humming, etc. The 5 are led into a towering vertical chamber. Each of them is instructed to insert their self-portrait into a large slot along one side of the room. A massive wall, 50 feet tall, looms before them, covered in climbing grips, ledges, narrow brackets, and industrial-looking puzzle modules. It glows faintly. The moment their drawings are accepted, the wall shifts. Their portraits morph, becoming comic book-style avatars based on how they see themselves. Now, each player faces their own version of the wall. Each section customized, each section watching. Balconies stretch outward from their walls, some with buttons, some with flickering screens, others just cracked tiles and broken ledges. Some of the floors fall away at random, some fall from pressure, some fall based on unseen timers. Narrator. Then, with a soft whump, an envelope drops in front of them, taped to a comically tall top hat, with a collapsible cane leaning beside it. Everyone stares. Jack High sighs, picks up the hat, and without comment puts it on. He opens the envelope and reads aloud. Jack High, welcome to Segment 1, The Hanging Wall. Hope everyone's stretched, hydrated, and emotionally unpacked their childhoods. The others groan. The wall begins to tilt, just slightly at first. Then more. Mist sprays, lights flash, mud, pudding, slime. It shifts between environments like it's cycling through a kid's birthday obstacle course nightmare. Jack High. Guess that counts as a tutorial. He twirls the cane once for flair, sets it down, and both hat and cane are zipped back up through a small hatch in the ceiling. Without another word, Jack High starts climbing. Setup, suspended tension. Each player begins in a position that's already uncomfortable. Not ropes or shackles, but awkward ledges, twisted footing, handholds placed just above reach. The wall seems possible until it moves. It's not just a climb. Each player must complete tasks, some required, others optional, with a cost. Envelopes appear, 16 of them. Only one can be opened at a time. Once opened, a decision must be made immediately. Do it or skip it. Skipping is allowed on cards with a red dot in the corner, and the wall doesn't care. It plays static-laced recordings of crying. Sometimes the cues are obvious. Sometimes it's just luck. And sometimes bad luck. Then the real trial begins. The chamber is massive, 50 feet tall, echoing with tension. One wall dominates the space, glowing faintly like it's breathing. Its surface is a mess of climbing grips, the narrow brackets, and industrial slots, half obstacle, half interrogation. Then it tilts, first a lean, then near vertical, but it doesn't stay there. The difficulty fluctuates, shifting unpredictably from manageable to extreme, and it's not about cards or choices anymore. It's luck, or unluck. Somewhere above the chaos, Jack High's voice rings out, his energy somehow louder than the alarms. You can block my powers, but I am luck. A few minutes later, he falls 10 feet, barely catching himself. Jets of water hiss to life, then pudding, then slime, then mud. Edison, I love puzzles. I love puzzles. This wall doesn't just want a winner, it wants regrets. Challenge, the egg transfer. Somehow, all 5 unlock the next challenge within a minute of each other. On the far side of the wall, behind warped chicken wire, each player spots a shallow bowl of oversized fragile eggs. The task? Transfer a full dozen into an upper container. No cracks, no drops, no shortcuts. But some wire is sharpened. Some gloves are missing fingers. One bowl isn't even resting flat. Each egg successfully transferred earns a token, a small brass coin marked with a mysterious symbol. Open quote. But there's a catch. Only some tokens are worth votes. Others, penalties, traps, future sabotage, close quote. And no one knows which is which. Phase 2, the water puzzle narrator. Still strapped in, each player now faces a timed challenge. A glowing blue liquid, a narrow pipe, a ping pong ball floating just below the rim. 2 tool options, big scoopers, safer but slower. Small cups, faster, riskier. Viz, let's go, let's go, let's go. Narrator. Success here shaves precious seconds off their total. Failure, an automatic penalty token. Psychological hazards. Activatingly, heat lamps surge without warning. White noise blares, layered with glitchy whispers. Flickering lights beat out of sync. A massive screen drops from the ceiling, flashing fake live voting results. Half of them are believable. Half are nonsense. All of them feel personal. Add after riddle trapdoor. One course splits into logic gates. Time switches, color-coded platforms, memory flips. Edison hits it running, goggles glowing. He's muttering under his breath. Then louder. Then shouting. I love puzzles. I love puzzles. I love puzzles. It's unclear if it's confidence or a coping mechanism, but somehow he clears the course, right before a trapdoor opens beneath him. Please, viewer, please like and subscribe if you want the story to continue. Each player hears it, alone, at the same time. Fallout and Rose slips first. At first, she's the picture of control. Calm grip, even breathing, rhythmic movement, focused, steady. But then comes the water puzzle. Her hand shakes, her leg spasms. The ping pong ball wobbles and drops. So does she. Narrator, she hits hard, doesn't speak, just stares up at the wall, like it personally betrayed her. Then comes the twist. Monroe is out of contention for the win, but any votes and tokens she cast will be doubled. The others do the math. She has at least 1 token, so far that they know of. They all start to guess what punishments or prizes will be given, and they all agree. Second place will get the worst of it. Oh, this isn't just a wall. It's a game of leverage. And then, she lets go. No warning. Her overalls just fall backwards fast. Then, in another instant, start swinging gently back and forth to the ground. Just silence. And then her voice calls out from somewhere unseen, a deeper tone than before. Viz. From the shadows, I have invisible muscles, and I did really well for someone like me. For her reward, Viz is granted the only hot shower, the rest, ice cold. The hanging wall doesn't just test strength and endurance. It tests what people do when the rules aren't what they seem, because when losing gives power, no one wants to be second to last. And beneath it all, vote tokens. Some fair, some forged, all in play. After 22 more hours, Jack High and Edison make a decision. They climb to the top together, then fall. Together. Not second, not third. A tie. Because what matters isn't the ranking, it's who writes the rules. Reaction stares at the screen. She could have gone another 22 hours. Easily. She doesn't say a word, just takes the ring of winners. Narrator, Jack High and Edison will split the shared rewards. As for third place, punishment, cleaning the community bathroom for students and teachers. Second place, since there's only one outfit, you'll be handcuffed together for 24 hours, taking turns wearing the cowboy unitard. Segment 2, the shopping center memory trap setting. 3 days of punishment, cold showers, no escape. The only place open to sleep, the uncool cardboard box castle, aka the homeless palace. Then, a break, a chance to win something simple. Narrator, a single day away, a single stupid challenge. The shopping list. They arrive in a massive, eerily clean simulated shopping center, like a retro-futuristic mall rebuilt entirely from memory. Fluorescent lights buzz with that faint, headache-inducing hum. Half the shops are real, half are projections. A few glitch when you get too close. Muzak plays covers of songs that don't exist yet. After the hanging wall, nobody wants to win. They just want to stay out of sword range. Viz over loudspeakers, full game show mode. Welcome to the world-famous Hypermart 5000, where the sales are simulated but the stress is real. Monroe scans the aisles, suspicious but tired. No traps, no tricks, just dumb fun. We agree, no one wins this round. Deal, mutual sabotage pact. Jack high to Edison. You trust that? Edison, not even a little. Scavenger hunt phase narrator. The rules are simple. Collect all the items on your list. The items, less simple. Snail polish remover. Gravity-free grapes. A 5-pack of reverse batteries. Tissues made from emotional support alpacas. They run through the mall like it matters. A robotic cashier flirts with Monroe in auto-looped compliments. Nice armor plating. Would you like coupons? You have radiant posture. Please swipe again. A janitor hums a song that's unsettlingly familiar, though no one can place it. Reaction grabs a novelty magnet from a clearance bin. I survived Sector 60-half. Jack high pockets it, just in case. And halfway through, Viz disappears. Nobody notices. Down. Bright lights, cold metal chairs, a sterile, circular room with too many corners. The general steps in, expression blank. Item collection? Irrelevant. This was always about awareness. The walls flicker. The teachers appear, some seated, some floating. They begin firing questions like live rounds. What name was on the barista's name tag? How many clearance items were cracked? What color was the limping man's bag? How many people looked directly at you? What tool was the man on the rafters using? What was Viz doing when you passed the smoothie bar? There was a smoothie bar? Narrator, answers vary. Memories conflict. Tension tightens. Monroe shifts in her seat. Edison avoids eye contact. Reaction mutters the barista's name might have been Crane, or Krem, or Kyle. Sudden death tiebreaker. General, final question. Sudden death. Open quote. Without going over, how many seconds was Viz missing from your group? Jack high. Missing? Or messing with us? Narrator. Silence. Everyone looks around. Not all their instructions were the same. Some had decoy maps. Some heard announcements no one else did. They were never working as a team. They were being monitored individually. This wasn't a break. It was a pressure test, dressed up as a fake day off. Edison to himself low. Even our off days are ops now. Segment 3. The forked obstacle court environment. An open-air arena made entirely of sand. Winding paths etched like a danger gym designed by MC Escher. Above 4 looming gates, signs flash. Path of flame. Puzzle run. Shortcut sludge. Easy breeze. Definitely not a trap. The team stands at the edge, towing the sand. Edison mutters, mostly to himself. Open quote, why the gladiator arena? And why this much sand? Close quote. Suddenly, the entire chamber hums with a high-pitched tone. The sand shifts, rising in synchronized walls and patterns. Then the pitch drops low. The formations collapse, only to rebuild in new shapes. The whole arena is responding to sound, cymatics made real. Each course bends, overlaps, or intersects at points. And above it all, glowing observation decks flicker to life, housing the audience, the teachers. Each course wins and crosses at some point. The audience, aka teachers, watches from glowing viewing decks above. Edison. Hey Monroe, what happens when you get sand in that tight leather? It's not just sand anymore. It's halfway to glass. Edison crouched to inspect a fragment, and sharp enough to file teeth on. This time, no alliances, no jokes, just ego and calculation. Reaction, reading the map, shorter path means harder, easier path means you might not even finish. Jack high. What? I like balloons. Monroe, heading toward Shadow Loop. If I lose, I want to lose my way. Edison, react, want to swap paths halfway? Bluff the watchers? Reaction, already thought of it, already not telling you when. Mid-run events, some paths double back without warning. One includes a mirror maze. Reflection triggers Jack High's power briefly. There's a riddle in binary. Edison solves it, but it opens a trapdoor instead of a prize. That's Monroe hits a pressure plate and gets doused in optimism spray. Makes her laugh for 45 seconds straight. Outcome. We don't say the winner yet. We just hear someone panting crawling across the finish line. General. We have our final two. The apartments weren't real homes, just training modules pretending to be cozy. Each one framed in identical metal walls, lined in gray fabric, and positioned around the sealed containment field that now housed Excalibur. The sword floated upright inside its capsule, humming faintly. The glow pulsed like a heartbeat, slow but undeniable. None of them spoke much about it anymore. They just existed in its orbit, trapped for 10 days of psychological observation, eating freeze-dried meals and pretending their conversations weren't being monitored. Which, of course, they were. On day 6, the rations changed. The general never offered a reason. He just dropped off a box labeled recalibration diet and left without a word. Inside, military-grade food packs. No heating strips. Pharaoh wandered through the common area an hour later and casually muttered, "Didn't like the smell last time." That was the closest thing to an explanation they ever got. Reaction, sitting cross-legged on the floor. Day 6, still no toast. Edison, looking up from his tablet, eyebrow raised. If you wanted toast, you should have become chosen. The Excalibur line gets breakfast perks. Reaction, chosen people don't eat toast. They absorb light. Cool, so just look at the lamp harder. Narrator, Viz cackled from behind the counter, where they'd built a scoreboard titled Who's Lying Now? No one had asked them to, but no one had stopped them either. The paranoia had been low-grade at first. They all knew some of them had taken punishment deals during the hanging wall challenge. Minor stuff. Things that gave them vote tokens in exchange for future discomfort. But they didn't know how many tokens existed, or who had them, or what else was coming. That uncertainty was by design. Each night, one of them got called into a quiet interview room with the teachers. It wasn't punishment, just questions. Questions like, who do you think thinks they're winning? Which teammate has done the least but talks the most? If you had to lead 2 and abandon 2, who and why? They weren't told what the interviews were for, but they knew. Evaluations, psych profiles, more data points in a system that already felt like it knew too much. In between sessions, the 5 of them started meeting up again. First one-on-one, then in trios, then all together. At first it felt casual, but then every conversation started to bend. Jack High told Monroe he was considering voting for Viz, just to shake things up. Monroe told Jack High that Edison had probably stacked up at least 3 vote tokens. Jack High, in his voice, also told Reaction that Monroe was still salty about the hanging wall loss. Reaction, of course, told each of them something different. She always said it with just enough honesty to make it feel real. Viz didn't say much of anything. They just watched and scribbled down notes on their chalkboard, adding check marks next to certain names. No one knew what the colors meant. The lights dimmed that night, like always. But no one really slept. They lay in their bunks, staring at the ceiling, wondering what the others were plotting, what the teachers were seeing, and whether any of them actually deserved to lead. And below them, humming steady and low, Excalibur waited. The vote wasn't held in front of anyone. No speeches, no debates. Just 5 cards, 5 pens, 5 names written in secret, plus whatever vote tokens they'd earned or stashed along the way. This time, the votes weren't dropped in a black box. They were handed over, folded into superhero capes, each one stitched with that same ridiculous logo. Earth's backup. One by one, they stepped forward, holding their capes like symbols of trust or mockery. Some kept their eyes up, some didn't. The monitors said nothing. Viz took the pile and began tallying. Quietly, deliberately. They didn't smile, they didn't frown. They just turned to the board and wrote a single name, reaction. No tally, no margin, just a declaration. Narrator, she didn't celebrate. Monroe gave a slow nod. Edison blinked, like he expected something else. Jack High laughed, then immediately stopped. Viz stared at Edison for a second too long. Overhead speaker, flat mechanical. Open quote, leadership begins now. This will be for 1 to 3 missions. Going first might seem like an honor, but it's what the rest will be compared to. You set the bar. Reaction. Close quote. But no one moved, because no one really knew what leadership meant. Not here. Not in this place. Was she in charge of decisions? Punishments? Missions? Votes? The monitors didn't explain. Haughty and Negative didn't call. The Pharaoh and General didn't return their pings. Narrator, the team had voted. No one seemed unhappy. Reaction looked at Edison and asked, Reaction. Wow, you bluffed? You never wanted to win first? I love puzzles. That was the last vote, for now. Like and subscribe if you want the story to continue. This might have been the last vote, but not the last mission. Tash the replacements, Galactic Tournament, backup heroes, vote for chaos, I choose you reaction.